Hi, my name is Paul. I use he pronouns. I'm in the Office of Transfer Student Success. One of the things that we really want to do with this workshop, I can tell you one thing that we really want to be data informed. We did a survey at orientation that we asked orientation to include. The number one thing people said they wanted to get, and this is transfer students, at orientation that they wanted to know more about past orientation was undergraduate research. So we are meeting that need. So that was number one vote out of everyone who did the post orientation survey. And then what's really great about this is Jude kind of in the Office of Undergraduate Research really said this was a good time so that you all have time to actually do it, because that's our goal. If you're interested in undergraduate research, we want to give you enough time to actually do it and want you to feel supported in doing this. And so again, with that presentation, we'll have Jude start us off and present about the Office of Undergraduate Research. Then we'll have Christy Toth, who's a faculty member who's worked with a lot of transfer students, talk about her experience, and then we'll have some transfer students talk about their experience. So you get to hear from a faculty member, like this is what will be helpful when you reach out to a faculty member like myself from a student. You can hear some honest feedback from students. So let's go. Okay, Jude, and then let me share so you can just go right into it. Excellent. Let me do this so it doesn't block the whole screen. There you go.
All right, thank you so much for introducing me, Paul. My name is Jude Relis. I use he, they pronouns. I work in the Office of Undergraduate Research just downstairs here in the Sill Center. My job there is the outreach coordinator. So basically what I do, my job is to talk to students like you who are interested in undergraduate research and want to get started, but may not necessarily know how to do that or what's required of you or what to expect as far as workload. So a little bit about myself before I get started. I was a student here at the university between 2016 and 2019. I was studying music education, and I had a wonderful opportunity to do undergraduate research myself while I was here. It wasn't something I necessarily planned on doing. Education research is not necessarily the first thing that people think of when they think of research, and it certainly wasn't something I thought of. But I was really lucky to have a professor who saw my potential and went, okay, we can totally do a project. You have some great ideas. I'll help you grow those ideas into a whole project. And so I was really lucky to have 2 semesters through the program that I work for now. So it's kind of a full circle moment for me. And I am really excited to see that transfer students are so excited about undergraduate research. I think that especially those of us who have a non-traditional career path and a non-traditional university path, we have a lot to offer as researchers, as academics. And I think that it's important that we have a voice when we're talking about undergraduate research. And we'll get started into what that looks like here at the U. So really quick, as we're getting started, I want to define research, start there, and then talk a little bit about the mission of the Office of Undergraduate Research. So first, I've taken the dictionary definition from Oxford Languages and adapted it a little bit. So research is a systemic investigation of materials and sources in order to establish facts and reach conclusions. Those may be new conclusions based on the data that you've collected. That may be reinforcing older conclusions that have already been reached in a way to prove what you already know. And sometimes you don't quite reach conclusions, and so then you have to do additional research. But that's the bare bones of what research is. Our mission at the Office of Undergraduate Research is to facilitate and promote undergraduate student faculty collaborative research and creative works across all disciplines on campus. And we do this through equitable programming, diverse representation, and social justice-oriented opportunities. The most important thing to keep in mind about this office mission is that we work really hard to facilitate the student-faculty collaborative connection. That's one of the bigger parts of what we believe undergraduate research can do for you as a student, is help you cultivate those relationships with faculty and start digging deeper into things that you are already interested in, that you may have a mild interest in, that maybe you know that's what you want to study further on in grad school or out in the workforce. But we really do put a lot of importance on that undergraduate student and faculty collaboration. So why does undergraduate research matter? We're going to cover 3 main reasons that it matters. So 1, it promotes skill building. First and foremost, research is job experience. Having a research assistantship is like a job in any sense of the word, in that you receive training, you learn how to work in a different mindset. You learn how to work on different projects depending on what your particular focus is on your research project. But all of the skills that you gain, whether you use them directly in the workforce in the future or in grad school, it doesn't matter. Skills are skills, and having as many skills as possible when you leave here after you graduate with your undergraduate degree is just a really great way to make sure that you're as versatile as possible, that you have figured out, maybe there are things that you don't like about research. Maybe research isn't for you, and that's okay to figure it out now instead of getting to a grad program and going, I may have made a bad call and maybe this is not what I want to do. So promoting your skill building while you're here and while you're an undergraduate is a good way to get ahead of the curve and see what you're most interested in and maybe find things that you aren't interested in as well. So participating in undergraduate research also promotes retention and graduation for our more diverse students. Students who participate in undergraduate research are much, much more likely to graduate at all, but also to graduate within 4 to 6 years. So compared to students that don't do undergraduate research, the difference is pretty stark. And as I kind of alluded to before, this participation in undergraduate research does absolutely impact your career and post-grad decisions. I've seen students join a research project because they really wanted research experience of any kind and they weren't super maybe invested or jazzed about the project that they picked, but then they realized that that was actually something they were really passionate about, and it can change your plans. It can make you think, oh, maybe this is what I want to study in grad school. I had other plans, but maybe I'm more interested in this. Or maybe you end up getting a job right after graduation because of the research that you did. So having this as an option to give you some experience is what we really encourage you to do. So the main reason students come to our office is for money. That's totally fine. That's totally understandable. That's why I did research. I needed a part-time job on campus, and this was a pretty good option. So we'll get into a little bit about the different programs that we offer to students here at the university. So firstly, I'm going to cover a new program that we're launching. This is launching this upcoming spring, so spring 2024, called the Early Exploration Scholars Program. This is a $500 scholarship that's meant to incentivize students to look into research opportunities. So eligibility is pretty simple. As long as you're within your first 60 credits here at the university, you are eligible for this scholarship. We don't count AP credits. We don't count transfer credits from other institutions. We're just counting what you've done here at the university. So if you apply for this upcoming cohort and you don't get in, apply for next fall, apply for next spring. As long as you're within that first 60 credits here, we want to see you applying. One, that shows interest, so that can help us get more money as far as funding goes. But also, we really want transfer students to take advantage of this, because this is a great way for you to get your feet wet without having to commit to a project right away. There are a couple of basic requirements for getting this scholarship to continue to qualify. One, you do have to meet with at least one potential research mentor at some point during that semester. That's just sitting down for half an hour, talking through what your options might be and seeing if they're a good fit for you as a mentor. Two, you do have to attend a tour that will be facilitated through our office for a certain group of research that you're interested in. That's going to include some lab tours. That'll include some presentations by faculty members that are not in the lab setting, and we're working out the details on what that'll look like, but you have to attend at least one of those, and then attend 2 events through our office that are education series events. If you fulfill all those requirements and you end up not doing research, great, you keep the $500. If you do end up doing research, awesome. We've already started the process of finding someone to work with, started the process of getting acclimated to what research can look like, and so you're a little ahead of the game as far as finding someone to work with and getting started on a project. All right, our largest program by far is the Undergraduate Research Opportunity Program. If you've heard UROP being thrown around, this is what this is. So this is $1,200 paid over 120 hours of work over the course of a semester. If you apply for this program, you do need to have a faculty member already committed to working with you. So that's someone either that you've already been working with in the past on a volunteer basis, or maybe you've taken a class from them and they want to work with you further on a project. Or if you have an idea for a project of your own and you find a faculty member that can help you grow it and become your mentor through that process, all of those count as pre-existing relationships with faculty. You don't necessarily have to do research within your major. Many students do, most students do, but as long as a faculty member has agreed to work with you, regardless of what you're majoring in, that's all we need to know. Let's see. Expectations. You are expected to attend an orientation at the beginning of the semester, just telling you what you need to know about the program, onboarding, pay, all that kind of stuff. You do attend at least 2 education series events during the semester that you receive the award. And at some point during your time here at the university as an undergrad, you do have to present at one of our symposia. But it doesn't have to be immediately after your semester or during. At any point works for us. The deadlines for this do come up pretty quickly. So for example, the deadline for spring funding, so that would be for this next semester, that deadline is the 3rd of November. So you as a student have to have your application in by then. The application is pretty intense. It's essentially writing a grant. So if you visit our website, which I'm going to do really quickly here, so you can see what I'm talking about. If you go to the UROP page, you can go over to this little hamburger menu under where it says how to apply. Let's see. And here you'll see a really in-depth go over of everything that you'll need to know about applying for this program. So here are all the steps. Here is everything that you need to include in your proposal. We also have a bunch of sample proposals that were previously successfully funded in a wide variety of areas. Information about if you're renewing, if you want to apply for a second semester in your project, what a group project could look like. And then we have a little bit older guide on how to write a UROP proposal. I would definitely recommend that you take advantage of this resource. This is a great way to get started, especially if you're not familiar with the process or if the mentor that you've chosen to work with has not worked with us before. So bear that in mind as an option as far as getting more information. I would encourage you, if you are interested in getting funding for this upcoming spring or as early as this upcoming spring, start looking for someone now. Do not wait to start expressing interest to professors about wanting to work with them. The sooner that you express that interest, the better. Not only because then you're not as close to the wire as far as getting the application in, but that also gives you opportunities to be more picky and be more selective about the mentor that you choose. Ultimately, the person that you choose should be a good fit for you. You should feel comfortable talking to them about things. If something goes wrong, you should feel like you can bring up any concerns that you have to this person. If it's a personality conflict, that might make it more difficult to work with a mentor. So know that when you're looking for a mentor, you're also interviewing them. They are interviewing to be someone that you can turn to for advice and for guidance. All right. In addition to UROP, we also have a summer program for undergraduate research. This is a 10-week commitment where you are working full-time, 40 hours towards a project. The projects are announced in early November. We have the application open right now for mentors to apply with their projects, and we select a certain amount of projects and announce that at the beginning of November. After they're announced, you have until the end of January to submit your application. The application for SPUR differs from UROP in a couple of major ways. The first is that you are applying specifically for projects. So you do not have to write a grant proposal like you do for UROP. However, you do have to provide a personal statement and a couple of letters of recommendation. So it's more like a job application than a grant application. So that's the main difference between UROP and SPUR. It is nationally competitive, and you get a $5,000 scholarship, or excuse me, a $5,000 stipend for participating in this program. And you can also get on-campus housing if you need that to be able to work more easily from campus over the summer. Similar to UROP, you are expected to present in a symposium, but this one you would have to present at that summer symposium at the end of the summer where you're working. You do submit a summary of your experience to the research journal Arrange on campus, and there are certain program events that you're required to attend during the semester. All right. And we notify students who are accepted for this mid to late spring. We do it before the semester ends so you can make arrangements as needed as far as, getting your housing, making sure that you're able to work for 40 hours during this time and so on. All right, a smaller funding option that we have in addition to SPUR and to UROP is travel and small grants. For travel and small grants, you are required to be working with a faculty member. However, you don't have to necessarily be getting funded by our office for your research. So if you're doing an honors thesis or you have another opportunity for research that isn't paid through the OUR and you still need some money to fund a conference presentation that you want to travel to, or off campus or out of state, or anywhere that you have to commute to do additional research for your project, or if you need materials, for example, gift cards if you're doing a survey and want to compensate the people who are filling out your survey. So travel grants are exactly what they sound like. It's travel related expenses, and small grants are more for disposables that you need in order to do your research. So funding has to be applied towards future expenses. So it's not a reimbursement base. You do have to have the money from us before you spend it. And these applications are considered on a monthly basis. The last day of every month is the deadline for that monthly cycle. And then within the first 7 days of the next month, we notify students who have been accepted for the award. You can receive up to one of each of these during the time that you're here. So one travel grant, one small grant. All right, we'll go through scholarships really quickly. We also offer scholarships. These are for students who have already received funding from us, but have already exhausted it. So either you've done 2 semesters of UROP and you want to continue the work that you've been doing, or you start a project with SPUR, but want to continue that same work into the next semester and the faculty member is willing to work with you. So keep this in mind if you've already received funding from us or you're planning on receiving funding from us, but you're like 2 semesters doesn't really cover what I want to do. Bear in mind that we do have some limited options for scholarships to assist you with additional funding once you've already used your initial funding with us. All right, really quick, we'll go over a couple of other things that our office offers. So first, we have the Undergraduate Research Symposia, like I mentioned. This is a requirement if you're doing UROP or SPUR, but we also encourage students who are not getting funded through our office to present here. During the fall, we have a virtual symposium that's all online. And during the fall, or excuse me, during the spring and summer, we have in-person symposia. The spring symposia is our largest one. We also encourage students who have done art projects, who want to do performances to sign up for that symposium. And for summer, that's primarily for SPUR students, but we encourage UROP students or other students who have done research to present there as well. There's no limit to the amount of times that you can present. You can present it on as many different topics as you'd like throughout the time that you're here. And we encourage you to take advantage of this as an opportunity to get better at presenting, to get some experience under your belt. And this is one of the requirements for the undergraduate research scholar designation that I'll mention in a second. So we also have an undergraduate research journal titled Range. This is a great opportunity for you to get experience with publication before you graduate. Having publication experience and having something published on your CV is a huge, huge deal. It's not something that a lot of students get the opportunity to do. With this, we try our best to be as open to different types of submissions as possible. We understand that as undergraduates, you might not see the beginning, middle, and end of a project. You might be jumping in somewhere towards the middle end. Maybe you're starting a project. Maybe you're ending a project that's been going on for a while. So often you don't always have the whole context to be able to write a whole paper or to be able to publish in a traditional journal. So we encourage you, if you want to submit a brief summary of your work over the time that you've worked here at the university in research, that's great. If you have an abstract that you'd like to publish, awesome. If you have a whole paper, excellent, please send it in. The main thing that we need from you is for your faculty member to approve whatever you send in. We trust your faculty mentor to know disciplinary standards better than we can. So if they sign off on it, great. One thing I would say is that if you do plan on publishing a full paper about this work in the future, talk with your mentor, make sure that that won't cause any problems. Some journals are very picky and will say you can't have published this anywhere else before in full or in part, but we do have a I think it's Creative Commons license. So all of your work that you publish here is still yours. We don't retain any rights to your work. So anything that you publish here, you still retain the rights to it. We publish twice a year. The first deadline for June 1st is for the first issue of the next year. And then the second deadline of December 1st is for the second issue of the next year. So for the purposes of the undergraduate research scholar designation, you only have to have submitted work to us. We understand that because of the cycle of publication, you might not be published by the time you graduate, but so long as you've submitted something and it's been approved by your mentor, we will accept that for the designation. All right, education series, we put on different events every semester on different research related topics. This is a great way for you to understand more about research and how that works. We also require you to attend a couple of these events if you're in SPUR or in Europe, but you can also view information from past events on our website that's free and available to anybody, regardless of whether you're a student or not. So I would encourage you to take the opportunity to look through some of these and see what appeals to you. Feel free to bookmark whatever you'd like. They're all about an hour long. All right, really quick, we do an awards ceremony every year. This next year, it'll be on the 1st of April, where we have every college nominate an outstanding undergraduate researcher and an outstanding undergraduate research mentor. And we honor them at this award ceremony. They get a little plaque, and then we have a luncheon for the awardees. And we also live stream it every year. The undergraduate research scholar designation is these 3 basic requirements. 2 semesters of undergraduate research. Doesn't have to be paid through our office, doesn't have to be paid at all. But as long as you have at least 2 cumulatively, that counts for this. You have to present at least once at the undergraduate research symposium any semester, as long as you do it before you graduate. And you have to at least submit work to the undergraduate research journal. If you start research within the first 3 semesters of your time here, chances are that you will reach these requirements with a little bit of work. So keep this in mind as an option. It shows up on the awards section of your transcript. Really great way to celebrate the work that you've done as an undergraduate researcher and have it immediately viewable to anyone that you send your transcript to. All right, Monson Prize. This is awarded to an undergraduate who writes an outstanding paper on a subject having to do with social change from 5 to 20 pages. This is usually going to upperclassmen, but not always. So keep this in mind if this is what your research interest lies in. Often students will submit a paper that they've been working on long-term or something that they've written in another class that has to do with this subject. So keep this in mind as an option. It is a cash prize, generally in the 1,000 plus mark. So you get a cash check, you can spend it however you want. It doesn't have to be spent on tuition or anything. All right. And really, really quick, I'll breeze through some resources on our website. So one, you can visit our website, our.utah.edu. If you go to our homepage, you'll see these 4 icons at the top. So I'm going to go over these 4, and these are the basic things that you'll need to know about navigating the website. One, we have our Getting Started page. This is a great page if you are like Jude mentioned something in that presentation. I cannot remember what it was called, but I think it had something to do with this. Likely it's listed on this page. If you only bookmark one thing from this presentation, let it be this. This is a good place to start if you're not sure where something is. And if not there, you can also find it on the other 3 tiles. The second tile is the Find a Mentor page. This is great as far as giving you some resources for how can I reach out to faculty members that I don't know very well. There's an email template you can adapt to your own needs, a list of past faculty members that have worked with our office already if you prefer to work with someone with experience, and some other important info that I would recommend you peruse. The funding page is exactly what it sounds like. It's just links to all of our funding opportunities if you're specifically looking for funding. And lastly, we have our research opportunity database. This is a way for professors and grad students who have opportunities for undergraduates to post about the opportunity. So everything on here is specifically for undergrads. It's not a comprehensive list. You will be able to find other opportunities elsewhere, but this is a good place to start. Additionally, you can also go on the employment page for the university and check under part-time research assistant jobs. And often you'll find opportunities there that are across different disciplines. So that's another good place to look. Everything on the employment site will also be funded already. So you won't need to worry about getting funding from us in order to get paid for that work. Really quickly, we also offer some peer and staff support for students. Firstly, we have Funding Fridays. This semester, that's from 2 to 3 p.m. every Friday. It's a Zoom drop-in advising hour. You can come in with any questions that you have, whether it takes 5 minutes, 15 minutes, we're there for the whole hour. And we're more than happy to read over applications or give you advice on finding a mentor, or if you're reaching any hard stops in your journey and getting someone to work with you, please come to us and we're more than happy to talk through it. We also have an IRB lab. So the Institutional Review Board is the governing ethics body on campus. All research that has to do anything with human subjects has to be approved by that board. It can be quite a process to get certified if you are doing research with a human subject. Some projects will have the resources to help you through that process. Others say you're kind of on your own. And if you are on your own, please take advantage of this. We have an amazing undergrad who works directly with that office and has a lot of experience with this whole certification, and to the point where we have graduate students coming to her for help. So please take advantage of this. It's here for you if you need support with that. And lastly, we also offer research advising. This is not academic advising. So we're not going to be telling you, okay, this is what you need to graduate, you should change your major. That's all academic advising's purview. This is more us sitting with you and going, okay, so what problems are you having? What questions do you have about getting started? And helping us give you a game plan on next steps. So it's about 15 minutes per appointment. You can always double book and set additional time if you need more than 30 minutes. But you can set an appointment with myself, another staff member in the office, or one of our peer mentors. We're all happy to help. All right, so really quick, some housekeeping items as far as our office. We are located downstairs in the Cell Center in the basement or the garden level. We're open 8 a.m. to 5, Monday through Friday. Our email, phone number, and website are all there. And if you'd like to get newsletter updates from us, you can join our email list. We send an email about 2 times a month with a newsletter with everything you'll need to know about upcoming deadlines, events, and so on. So lastly, we're also on social media at U of U OUR. We also put deadline reminders and other information there as well. So, all right, that's everything I have as far as an overview of the office. Feel free to let us know if you have any questions. Oh, yes.
I have like first, is it applicable to students who are working for credit?
Yes, that should be fine if you're looking for additional compensation. If you're already getting compensated for that lab, that can be a little complicated, but if you're not receiving money, then you should be okay to apply.
Second question is, like, let's say we're already working for credit right now, but then in spring I switch my area of interest, so I apply for a different lab. Would I be able to sign up for the spring right now? even if I switch mentors, I'll definitely be in the next semester.
As long as you're applying for that lab that you're going to be working in, that's great. So it would have to be for the current project that you're working for. What I would recommend if you are interested in getting UROP funding is look at that mentor now and let them know that you'd like to apply for UROP, and then you can start the process of getting that grant written early. And did you have another third question? Okay, great. Any other questions? Yes. Oh, thank you.
Oh, no, that's me.
That was that. Okay. You are not the only one. I am also bad at that. All right. Any other questions from the Zoom or from the room? All right, great. Feel free to let us know if you have questions. We're always happy to help, and we love hearing from students.
And we'll have some more time at the end.
Yes.
So after you hear Christy and the students, you go, oh, I have another question. Jude will be here to probably answer that. So, real quick and. So, Christy is fantastic. I've worked with her a lot. She has worked with a lot of transfer students to do research. I highly recommend talking to Christy. She's a fantastic person. I really.
I have a character reference. Thanks, Paul. Yeah, hi. Can you all see me okay on Zoom? Yeah. All right. Great. Thank you, Daniel. I'm Christy Toth. I know a few of you. Hey, Mitchell, how's it going? Good. So I am a professor in the Department of Writing and Rhetoric Studies, which is part of the College of Humanities. And I know a few of you all, and some of you are also in Writing and Rhetoric Studies. So I'm really glad that you're here. This is my 10th year at the University of Utah, and I have been working with undergraduate researchers pretty much since the end of the first year I was here. It's actually my favorite part of the work that I do here as a researcher, in some ways because it blurs all the lines between research and teaching and programmatic work at the institution. And I guess I'm sort of like the meta undergraduate research transfer workshop person, because the research that I do is about transfer students and their writing experiences. And I do that work always collaboratively with transfer students as undergraduate co-researchers and co-presenters and co-authors in various ways. So the book I'm waving around right now, Claudia, who's also here, is one of the co-authors on, but this book was 8 years, took us 8 years. So all the people who were undergraduate researchers when they started working with me on this in 2015, 2016, are long graduated. Some of them are now staff at the University of Utah and elsewhere. So these journeys can be the research journey can be long, but to me, it's really, really important, kind of borrowing an important insight from disability studies, the idea of nothing about us without us. That's kind of how I feel about trying to understand transfer student experiences, particularly between Salt Lake Community College and the University of Utah, that I should be doing that work collaboratively with my colleagues at Salt Lake Community College, the faculty who teach there, and also the students at Salt Lake Community College who are there and are moving between our institutions and are here. And so this book is actually, it's about research that we did where we looked at institutional data and surveyed and interviewed a whole bunch of transfer students in a lot of different disciplines about their writing experiences. One of the findings of that actually was that one of the most transformative writing experiences that students we talked to had was undergraduate research opportunities. Those were some of the times when what could sometimes feel like just abstractions of academic writing became real for people in a way when they were actually doing it in the context of real live research happening around them. And also one of the things that we learned in that study that was done 8 years ago now was that not very many transfer students at the time were accessing those opportunities. So they were really important writing and learning opportunities that often shaped everything that people went on to do as students and then grad students and in their careers, but that we had a lot of worries about how few transfer students at the time seemed to be able to access those kinds of opportunities, particularly transfer students who were also working or had families to care for, who were balancing all the things in their lives, had to live on, far from campus, and a lot of whatever time they had was being consumed by commuting, right? So the book was written one of the things I love about this book is that a lot of there's parts of it that are sort of written as where I was sort of the lead author and students gave me a lot of feedback and contributed on research that we had done collaboratively. But a lot of parts of it are written by individual students as researchers. As a writing professor, I'm really interested in sort of challenging that kind of monolithic we voice that subsumes the range of voices and experiences and identities of undergraduates involved in that work. And so this text was also kind of like an experiment in trying to be polyvocal, have multiple voices, and have that scholarship and that writing actually look different, and so that the student co-researchers involved could write and sound more like themselves to themselves in whatever ways they wanted to do that. So we did this book. It led to the creation of the Writing Studies Scholars Bridge program, which is for students coming from Salt Lake Community College who are majoring or minoring in writing and rhetoric studies or getting a certificate in professional and technical communication. It involves scholarships and dedicated professional development opportunities, including paid undergraduate research opportunities that are not available to anybody who's not in that program. So part of it is we wanted to create opportunities specifically for transfer students in our department. We can also make sure that students in Writing Studies Scholars have access to tuition-free undergraduate research credits. So if you want to earn credit for working on research projects, you don't have to pay for those credits. We can talk about how we figured out how to do that. It was largely students that helped me figure out how to do that. But even after this book has been completed, I've continued to work with undergraduate researchers. I think of like folks like Priscilla, who's here, is like Gen 5.0, I think. Claudia is like Gen 2.0 on the team. So like, and my time at the U has really just been shaped by these waves of relationships with research collaborators who are undergrads. So I don't want to take up any more time. I'm totally happy to answer questions. If anybody has questions about from a faculty perspective, but I really want to make sure students have time to talk. Yeah, Jude.
Yeah, so my question is about what do you recommend that students do, especially if students are nervous about reaching out to faculty, don't feel like they are quite empowered enough in their own confidence. What do you suggest that students do to build that confidence and also to have successful outreach to faculty that they might be willing or interested in working with?
I mean, I guess one of the things I would say is that something my partner says to me all the time, the problem is not in here, the problem is out here. If you have an interaction with a faculty member that you're interested in working with, and like they are not receptive or not supportive or that didn't feel good, like that's not usually, it's usually the problem is with them. It's not with you. So if you, I hope that all of you will have really great experiences reaching out to faculty, but if you don't, in some interaction that you have, please don't let that be like, I'm never doing this again. Like, come talk to the folks in the Office of Undergraduate Research. Often, I think, Jude, let me know if this is wrong, but like, you will often know who some really great people to work with are, so that if somebody had an experience that wasn't great, they can, you know, good people.
And we want to know if we had that
Yeah.
experience too, because then that's an opportunity for our office to do education to that faculty member and be like, okay, so we don't want this to happen again, so what's going on? And that's our job as the office, right? Like we're supposed to be advocating for you. So please let us know if you have a bad experience. We want to know that. If you have a good experience, we want to know that.
But the other thing I'd say is like at least for me, and I can't speak for all faculty, but like when people tell me they're interested, then those are people that I'm like, I know. So if a project is coming up like that, I'm working on something and I think somebody might be a great fit, like the people I think of and reach out to are the people who talk to me. And it may not be that like when somebody talks to me, like I'm like, yes, I'm working on this right now. Let's plug you in. Although sometimes that happens. Sometimes it may be like a semester before, and then I remember that like I got a new project coming up, and I remember that somebody talked to me, and I reach out to them then. So the fact that we like the timeline of research is sometimes such that it's not possible to plug somebody in right away. It kind of depends on the kind of research people are doing too. But I also, when people tell me what they're interested, I also know what some of my other colleagues in my department are working on, and sometimes I can help make a match. So it may also be if you reach out to a faculty member, like they are not at a point in a project where they could take you on, and that has, again, nothing to do with you. It's just about like the life cycle of research, or for some of us being way overextended and being afraid that we won't be able to support a student the way that they deserve, but we can sometimes help you connect with other people. At the top of the dome, that's like what I would suggest. But I mean, literally like Kelly Corbray, whose name is on this book, like I met Kelly because she came up and talked to me after like this event like 7 years ago. She just came, she's like, that sounds cool. I want to do that. And I'm like, all right, let's do it. And, you know, she was in the classroom doing observations with me. It's, you know, it's Salt Lake Community College the next, you know, 6 weeks later. So, yeah, okay, so I don't know, does it make sense to like maybe have Claudia chime in if she's able, because Claudia was one of the co-authors on this book, and then, you know, Priscilla is somebody that I'm working with more recently, and so maybe that's.
Yeah, Claudia's on the stage. She wants that.
Hi,
We can hear you.
hang on. I don't know why the video isn't working. Start my video. Oh, hi, everybody. Can you
Hello.
guys, hi, can you all hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Christy, thank you so much for that amazing intro. I'm always so flattered to have had the opportunity to work with you and everybody on our team. So yeah, I'll go two parts. I'll first talk about my experience with Europe, and then I'll talk about what I do now here on campus. So first, yeah, very similar to what Christy was describing. I remember I met Christy during like a tabling event, and at that time they were offering writing 30/20, which is a course for, or 30/40. Sorry, Christy, I forgot, but it was the writing course for transfer students. And then from there, I started to get involved with the research that was still happening behind that course. At first, I was a participant in the research, and then the opportunity kept coming up that there was still room to join the team. And so I just started showing up I just remember one day I popped into one of your research meetings, and then I didn't leave. And since then it was just an amazing opportunity to be able to gain that experience in collaborative work. One of the things I would say a lot is the most impactful thing we can do is to think together, and that was just my favorite part of the research, is being able to collaborate with Christy, with other professors, with all my colleagues, students that are now friends, and then having the opportunity to go and present at different conferences. I think, what was it? We had the opportunity while I was a student, went to Oregon, Colorado. We went to Pittsburgh and Kentucky. I think the one with Kentucky, yeah, and then also Kentucky. So yeah, those were just super, super amazing opportunities that I'm never gonna forget, and just make my experience as an undergrad just so rich, that I honestly, like, yeah, I can't imagine what it would have been like if I hadn't done it. And so just so many opportunities opened up. I started working also, I published with another professor, Romeo. We also published an article for a journal, and then with him, we also went and presented at that conference in Kentucky. So it opens up opportunities to meet other folks and just be involved. For me as a student, now that I think back on it, now that I'm okay, now I guess I'm gonna start jumping up a little bit into like what I do now. Currently, I'm a student success coach with Undergraduate Studies, housed there in the Still Center, but we meet you where you are on campus, and so we meet you on campus. But I'll tell you a little bit more. Now that I'm thinking back on it, one of the things for me as a student, and that I do as a student success coach, is to help students find belonging on campus. And for me, being part of the undergraduate research project with Christy and all of the folks involved, it really did feel like I had a place, like I had my people, and that really did help me continue and finish my study my studies. So being able to graduate was a huge part of finding that belonging and community. So now jumping into what I do, Paul, is there any chance I could share my screen or put a presentation up a little?
Let me see. Yeah, let me make you a co-host so you could do that. So you should have access now.
Okay. Share screen. Okay.
Yeah, we can see it.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, so currently I'm a student success coach. Hold on, that looks funny. There we go. Oh. Okay. Yeah. So, we might think of a coach as, usually in sports, and somebody is kind of navigating you, telling you what the play is, what, maybe trying to motivate and telling you to run faster or something like that. For me, as a student success coach, that would look like being a part of your academic journey here at the University of Utah. I won't give you exact, I won't tell you what the play is. My goal is for you to have the space to find what your journey is, what you want your journey to look like, and help you navigate. So more like a GPS, right? Like, so my main goal is for you to have the time and space to figure out what success looks like to you, and then be able to work on it by creating an action-oriented goal with a plan and steps to be able to accomplish that. Some of the areas that we might look at, because you are a whole human and not just a student, right, we might focus on academics. Maybe a goal might be to get a certain GPA, or maybe spend more time with family, or improve your health. Those are absolutely goals we can work on and create a plan to make happen. Also, I kind of feel like I'm just like a little arrow that points you to places, right? I might not have all of the answers, but I sure will send you out to the people who do have those answers for you. So I won't do any kind of like academic planning, but we can do like long-term planning for your education, depending on what you want. Examples of why students schedule with us, and also to give you a little bit more information. Sessions are usually 30 to 45 minutes. That looks like either meeting on Zoom, or on the phone, or in person. And we would take that time to chat and create goal-oriented action plans. We can also work on practical academic skills. So that means like time management, maybe some study skills, study habits, finding the opportunity to, again, find community or get involved. And I'm happy to if there's like an office that you haven't explored and you're curious about, and like First Gen or Trio or whatever it may be, I'm happy to walk with you and find the place. So just so you know, I'm like like helping you navigate, like literally. Also, I can help you find buildings and stuff like that. It's also, when you think of a coach, also for me, one thing that comes up is like accountability. So that's really what my role also plays into when you meet with me, right? It's like we come up with a plan, and then we check in and then see where maybe there was a barrier that we didn't anticipate. Maybe the goal or the step just doesn't work out, and you change your mind, and we can totally change that up too. So everything is totally decided by where you want to go, and then I'll provide some input, support, and resources to make sure that you can accomplish those goals. Some of the partnerships that we work with, and I was a transfer student, so I came from Salt Lake Community College, and started here when I was a student, I started at the U in 2016. One of the things I really wanted to do, but I wasn't able to do at the time, doesn't mean I won't. Still, I might, is I wanted to study abroad. I didn't realize though with, you know, just being a transfer student, one, it was hard to figure out how the U worked after SLIC was like a little easier to navigate since it's so much smaller. So the U was a little bit more difficult for me to navigate. It took more time, which meant it took more time for me to find scholarships, which took more time to figure out coming up with a plan for me to be able to do that and take care of my personal life as well. So it takes time. And unfortunately, I wasn't able to do it as an undergraduate student, but I still have hopes that I'll be able to do study abroad in the future. But that's one example that I like to highlight, that it like we can connect you with the study abroad office, or we can connect you with, you know, with the Office of Undergraduate Research if you're interested in research, or Hinckley Institute if you're interested in internships. But what's really important in where my role falls in is to help you come up with a plan to make sure that you are able to take those action steps and be able to accomplish those goals. Yep, and like I mentioned earlier, we meet you where you are. We're literally all over campus, so you might see us with a little backpack and a little name tag, and that's the Student Success Coaches. I'm going to leave my contact info with Paul. You can text, call, email, whatever works best for you, and we can meet on Zoom in person or on the phone. Here's all of the coaches. There we are. And does anybody have any questions?
Thank you, Claudia.
Yep.
And you'll
Thank
be
you.
on the Zoom as we have more questions at the end as well.
Perfect.
Thank you. And then Priscilla, do you want to talk about
just my experience?
yes, your experience, and yes, that sounds great.
Of course.
Cool. So we'll have you. Okay. Thank you so much.
Of course. Hi, guys. My name is Priscilla. As Christy stated, I am working on a project with her and did work on a project with her. I'm actually a transfer student from SLIC as well. This is my third semester up here. My main reason for getting involved in it was Christy, to be honest with you. She's a great mentor, and I really liked what she was doing in the classroom. And also because I am a non-traditional student, it allowed me to get involved in a way where I usually couldn't, because I do work full-time as well. So it allowed me to get connected with other students in a different dynamic rather than in the classroom. And then the project that we worked on was something that was, you know, very important to me because I did come from the community college, and I also have a daughter getting ready to go into community college. So it really helped me open that aspect. I was able to do it via Zoom from my desk at work, and, you know, make sure that I did it every single week. There was, I mean, maybe 1 or 2 times where I wasn't able to because a meeting was thrown on my calendar, but they made it as flexible for me as possible. With that, you know, having conversations and also understanding different programs that were available to me, you know, was something that guided me and allowed me to stay. I actually shared with Christy over the summer that there was a period of time where I actually thought that maybe coming back into college and being up here at the U was too much with my job at the same time. But as stated by so many others that have spoken, being involved in any little way helps you stay connected to the university and keeps you grounded. And also, when you are struggling, you create a sense of trust with your classmates, with the people that are on that research program with you, and then also with your professors to help you stay involved and continue through your college education. So those were like the biggest reasons for me why I continued to do it, and I'm still here. Originally, I was majoring in economics with a minor in writing and rhetoric studies, and I actually just switched over to a double major because of some of that. I don't want to leave the program, to be honest with you. I want to stay super involved. So that's why it was important to me. If you guys, am I hitting all the points, guys? What else do you guys want me to like hit on? So if any of you have any questions, I'm happy to share my contact information with anybody else that needs to as well. Like I said, I understand like the struggle and, you know, trying to find balance in, you know, living a normal life and actually, you know, being a student and sometimes having to work. So if you guys don't have any questions, I think that's all I have.
I have a question for you.
Yeah.
As a non-traditional student myself,
Mhm.
someone who went from community college to here, dropped out and is now thinking about coming back. Can you talk a little bit about how your life experience has impacted how you approach research and what you think that you bring to research that is unique because of your circumstances?
Yeah, so like you, I had gone back to school a couple times and dropped out, and then going back to Slick, it was, one of the things where I was like, okay, we're gonna do it this time. There was a lot of things that can continue to happen, specifically for this project that I was, she actually didn't, reach out to me specifically and say, hey, I want you. It was like a broad email to a lot of individuals saying, is anybody interested? And then the content itself, I chose that because of those experiences. It was the Guided Pathways project. For me specifically, I had a couple of really bad hurdles at Slick that almost prevented me from graduating, and I didn't really know what to do. And so as I continued to do that research, it brought up some of those issues that I went through and allowed me to talk about it very openly and honestly, and that made me want to dig in even more to have a better understanding of the community college and why it's created, and helping, students. At the time that I, started the project with her, I didn't realize that the main people that attended community college were people of color or non-traditional. I just went there because for me specifically, it was cheaper and I was a single mom. So digging into it and seeing that a lot of those hurdles that were outlined in the model were things that I went through. And so I wanted my voice to be a voice. And, my experience there ended up being really positive. So it wasn't a negative thing. And I wanted to highlight that as long as you're open and you're willing to talk about your experiences, and find someone, even if it's just one person that you trust to go to, there are ways to get through the systems and the institutions, that we're working in. So that was the biggest thing for me, is being able to highlight those areas.
Awesome.
So, of course. Any other questions? Okay. Well, thanks for having me, guys.
Can you say a little bit more about what you gained from doing research, or what maybe you weren't expecting after starting research?
Yeah, I think just being connected with the different students. Again, coming into college, I just had the mindset of just putting my head down and going to work. That's just kind of what I did. And by being in that program, and even just being up here on campus, and I think that's the biggest thing, it's made me want to be on campus more. So like this semester is my first semester where I'm up here 4 days a week, and I have a job that really supports me and allows me the flexibility to do that. So that's, why I'm doing this and why I continue to do it. It's just being involved, it's staying connected. I really like the U because of the research aspect of it. Like everything that we do, whether it's, my major's economics, it's like we're always trying to do something better and figure out how to do things, better to help other people along the way. Yeah, of course. Any other questions?
We have a whole room full of people here and a whole group on Zoom, so maybe we'll do, if there's any questions for any of you all, we can just pop up
Depending on who asked. So if you're in Zoom, feel free to put on the chat, type in a question. Yeah, Daniel can read them out loud. And then if you're here, don't hesitate. So there's a whole group, there's like 30 of us here. So there's gotta be some questions. Yes.
Okay, so I wanted to specifically engineering research. I've already emailed a few professors about see if they have any opportunities. But they're all go to see if I can see if there's any research that's good for undergraduates right now.
Yes, so I'm sure Jude will have something. I was just gonna say really quickly, last semester or last year, we did a research, we did this workshop with an engineering professor. So after the workshop, I'll send you that link as well. And Jude, I know, has the answer.
All right, so there are a couple of things that I want to show you. So one that I mentioned during the presentation was, let's see. Help, I need a share screen. I'm a Mac guy.
Oh, no worries, I can help you. So we'll just go here. And then it should just pull if you want to do another.
Excellent, so if you go to our.utah.edu/opportunities, if I can spell. So this is what I mentioned during the presentation as our opportunity database. So this isn't going to have every opportunity, but it's a good place to start. So you can filter by area. So let's start with engineering. So here are what we currently have as far as listings for opportunities. So this is a good place to start. This is also a good place, like if you go into any of these in particular, you can see more information about like what the project is, who's in charge of it, what would your role look like. This one's more of a vague listing, so I would definitely encourage you to check this one out because it doesn't list anything specific, but it's a good way to get started and get resources. The other good place to go, if you go to employment.utah.edu, oops. Oh no, clearly I did not go to school for writing. All right, so if you go to the job site, this is just the general job site for the university. If you go over to view all jobs, and I'll get to your hand raise in a second, Claudia, I saw ya. So if you go over to the site over here and you go to job type, go to part-time and search research assistant. You'll see a bunch of different listings. Not all of these are going to be for engineering, but you will have a large pool of options here. This is a great way to just start looking for paid opportunities. Everything here is either going to be an internship or it's going to be a part-time job. So all of these will come with funding. So you wouldn't even have to worry about coming to our office for funding. A lot of times students will start in one of these projects and then the funding will run out and then they'll come to us to get additional funding. That's totally fine. But those are the top two places that I would recommend looking for opportunities holistically. So you're doing right by emailing professors, but this is a good way to look for additional opportunities.
Is it still okay for like I just got a job like at the SMBD building, is it still okay to like look on for like research opportunities and see if they have like flexible? Because the SMBD building or SMBD building or a job's pretty flexible too. It is required like a lot of hours.
Yeah, absolutely. Most of these I'd say are anywhere from like 10 to 20 hours a week. And as long as you're below 40 hours and you're not running into HR issues with benefits, you are more than welcome to work more than one job. I worked like 3 to 4 campus jobs when I was a student, just making hours work because, you know, I had bills to pay. So it's very possible to work more than one job. I know students that may be working in 1 or 2 projects at a time, depending on what their schedule looks like. So whatever works with you flexibly, absolutely. That's something to ask professors that are in charge of these as well. Like how flexible are the hours? What are you asking of me? It's also a good practice for self-advocacy. All right, and Claudia, you can go ahead and unmute if you want to share something. I saw your hand.
Oh, yes. Just real quickly, I just wanted to say I dropped the link in the Zoom chat if anybody wants to make an appointment with a student success coach. And just to kind of go back with my journey and why I'm in this role currently, one of the reasons I started this role is because of my experience as a transfer student. It was difficult to balance working. I was also working. It was, you know, and then family and then work and then school and then trying to have fun with friends. Like I'm trying to be human. And also there were a lot of resources I didn't even know about when I was a student. I didn't learn about them until I was, you know, now that I'm staff. But yeah, I just want to reiterate that that's one of the reasons why I'm in this position is because I want to be able to support other students and be successful and get the most out of your college experience while you're here. So just want to just throw that out there.
Yeah, thanks, Claudia. I got this job as outreach coordinator because of my research experience actually as well. So like Claudia, I had a really hard time being a transfer student, and anything that we can do to make your life more livable is great. We were more than happy to work with you, whatever capacity our jobs allow us to. Tell your friends too. You know, this is something that I let a lot of my friends, my girlfriend in college did research because of me with the same advisor, because I was able to be like, hey, you have everything that it takes. And, you know, I'm sure he'd work with you on a project. So tell your friends, be encouraging, you know, talk about your research with each other. This is a great way to add another element of your lived experience as a student.
Anything else before we finish? So I'll have, if Jude, Claudia, Christina, Christy Tot, and Priscilla, if you want to send me anything, I can make sure I send it out to everyone. If you're here in person,